One of the worst things I hate about consoles is the fact of the matter is that when your hand is like this for more than 5+ hours, they start to ache. At least that's the way it is with me, but that's because I also have carpal tunnel. A lot of people don't know that, and I've been playing Destiny for the past 2 days nonstop. That is why you haven't received a video from me like I normally would have on my schedule here on my YouTube channel. But I have been occupied in the world of Destiny, making my legend, and as soon as this video is done and edited, I'm going back to Destiny. So, yeah. I wanted to talk briefly about pornography and children. In my last video that I made, I noticed a lot of really scary comments, some disturbing comments, and this was about sex education, but more specifically, there was a few people, not many, but there's almost 2,000 comments, but there was a couple comments that were specifically endorsing and saying that children should see pornography at a very young age. And by young age, I mean 8 years old, 8, 9 years old. And I disagree. I'm sorry, I disagree. I don't believe a child's mind needs to be tainted with pornography. At that young of age. Children are vulnerable, they're susceptible to a lot of different things. I mean, I don't even know the statistic, but how often do we see child predators prey after these young kids whose parents are nowhere in their life, and these kids are using Skype, Facebook, they're 8 years old, they have a Facebook, which, I'm sorry, but my child is never having a Facebook if Facebook still exists when I have children in 10 years. But my child's never having a Facebook until they're at least a teenager. And I will be monitoring that shit non-stop. I know how to set up programs on my computer to where they won't be having a Facebook. They'll only be allowed to use the computer when I log them in or something like that. Because I'm going to be really protective of my child. And I see this as a problem that's getting worse and worse, is that children are being more exposed to more and more things when they shouldn't. They're getting younger and they're using things. I mean, man, I was, 15 years old when I had my first cell phone? Now, all of us 1999 kids, even 1980s, we didn't have cell phones until 2000, mid-2000. And now, I see a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old have their own iPhone 5. I don't even have an iPhone 5. It's ridiculous that everything that we were exposed to later in life is being exposed to children, whether it's negative or positive, younger and younger and younger. And that's scary to me, specifically in regards to pornography. Anyways, the few comments on my video were about children being exposed to pornography at a young age, and I'm going to tell you why that's not a good thing. Because the main reason is that it affects brain chemistry. This goes for men and women at a young age. And specifically more with men, because men are more susceptible for pornography addictions. When children don't know... And here's the thing, it's okay for 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, even 12-year-olds to be curious, male and female, about the human form, whether that's the male or female, and most 12-year-old boys or even younger boys are curious about those things. But I think it's a parent's responsibility to teach their children about what sex is, what it can do, but most of all, teach them, or try not to pique their curiosity by letting them onto the internet to discover pornography. Because I think that when pornography is exposed to a child at a younger age, specifically males, they have a higher risk, and I may be pulling this out of my ass, I don't know, but this is what I think. They have a higher risk of an actual addiction when they get exposed to something like that. When an 8-year-old sees a Playboy magazine or a pornographic image for the first time, he may be curious. He may make him or her feel excited. But what if that young 8-year-old boy discovers hardcore pornography, something that looks very along the lines of violent? The problem with that is that these young girls and guys, and I'm talking between the ages of 5 and 10 years of age, have an unrealistic, warped, twisted understanding of sex that may permeate their mind to think this is how sex actually is, when in reality it's not. These artificial portrayals of sex can severely damage a child's relationship and potential future relationships that they have. early experience of sex in real life is supposed to have some sort of innocence behind them. And in my personal opinion, an also connection to maybe your first love or real physical affection. Instead, these kids see exactly what they saw in pornography, try to replicate it, and have absolutely no idea for why they can't find true, meaningful love, but also they look at sex as entertainment, and that is a big problem. I actually never used the internet until exactly 1999. That was the year that I first used the internet, and even then, my parents were very cautious with what I used it for. And here's a good question. As I mentioned earlier, we see kids nowadays with iPhones, cameras, laptops, younger and younger and younger. Why is it assumed that these 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds need to have a computer in their bedroom with a webcam? Why is it that it's assumed that these children need to have this type of technology? They don't. They don't. And if you are a parent, I believe you have a responsibility to make sure that you take the proper precautions, that these kids don't use those in the wrong ways. I am an adult, but I'm very glad that my childhood was not embedded with the electricity known as the internet. Because I think that if I had discovered pornography at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it would have changed me in a lot of negative ways. In fact, my religious repression changed me when I discovered pornography, like 12, 13, 14, because I was repressed from seeing these things. It was really hard for me, and I potentially got, to an extent, addicted to some of this stuff, because I had never been exposed to it, and then never seeing these types of things and having it all right there, and was overwhelming for me, and I would say that actually did a negative thing on how I viewed sex at a younger age, because when I was 15, 16, 17, what I should have known about sex, I should have learned years before that. But my vision and what I saw sex to be was completely different, because pornography changed that for me. And that was later in my adolescence years. So no, I don't believe a child should be exposed to pornography at a young age. And to the people who do think that they need to be exposed to pornography at a very, very young age, and we're talking ages 5 through 10, 11, I don't know what to say to you other than I hope you don't have kids, and I sincerely mean that. I don't mean that in a mean way, I mean that in a genuinely concerned, your kids may have some really hard issues to deal with growing up.